The sand is still cold. A boy is lowering himself into a hole in the desert floor, one hand on a rope of twisted palm fiber, the other cupped around a clay lamp he must not let go out. Beneath him, the shaft drops 40 meters into the dark, and at the bottom of it, in a tunnel too narrow for a grown man's shoulders, water is moving. It is summer in the 2nd century after Christ. This is the Fezzan in what is now southern Libya. And this is the kingdom of the Garamantes. What does it take to build a city in a place where it does not rain? Not for a season, not for a year. In parts of the Fezzan, it does not rain for years at a time. And yet here there were towns, walled fields, pyramid tombs, a written script, and a state that held together for more than 1,000 years. The answer to how they did it is still buried under the sand. And once you have it, you will not look at your own century the same way. Start with the ground. The Wadi al-Ajal is a valley about 160 kilometers long, running east to west, with a wall of black rock along one side and a sea of dunes along the other. By around 900 before Christ, people were living up on the escarpment at a place called Zinkekra. By the 1st century after Christ, their descendants had come down into the valley and built a capital, Garama, buried today beneath the village of Old Jarma. Garama held roughly 4,000 people. Another 6,000 lived in satellite villages within 5 kilometers of it. The wealthy built in dressed stone. Everyone else lived in mud brick rooms of 2 or 3 chambers, each with a hearth and a well. They ate dates, wheat, barley, sorghum, millet, figs, grapes. They drank imported wine. Archaeologists have found traces of as many as 50,000 Italian and Tripolitanian amphorae across the region. And here's the part almost nobody is taught. By around the year 150, this kingdom controlled something close to 180,000 square kilometers of Sahara. It was the first urban civilization in history to rise in a major desert with no river running through it. Around 430 before Christ, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote down what travelers had told him about a people living 30 days inland from the coast. He called them the Garamantes. He said they spread soil over salt flats to make fields. He said they hunted their neighbors from chariots drawn by 4 horses. For a long time, the chariots were treated as travelers' exaggeration. Then, the rock art was cataloged. Hundreds of chariots engraved and painted across the central Sahara, horses in a flying gallop, the driver standing. The French researcher Henri Lot spent decades recording them. So, hear it properly, not hooves on grass, hooves on hamada, flat desert pavement, gravel baked so hard it rings. Now the engineering, which is the real story. Beneath the Wadi al-Ajal, the archaeologists Andrew Wilson and David Mattingly have identified around 550 underground channels. The local word is foggara. Each one is a tunnel cut on a barely perceptible downward slope, running from the base of the escarpment out into the valley, moving groundwater by gravity alone. No pumps, no buckets, no evaporation. Individual tunnels run 1, 2, 3 kilometers. The full network across the region has been estimated at around 750 kilometers. The tunnels are about 1.5 meters high and 60 centimeters wide. 60 centimeters. That is why we believe children and small adults did the digging, and why it was almost certainly the work of enslaved people, taken from south of the desert and brought north. Every 10 meters or so, a vertical shaft was sunk to the surface for air and for hauling out spoil. Some reach 40 or 50 meters down. From the air, a foggara reads as a dotted line of small craters marching across the valley floor. The rings of excavated rock still sitting there, 2,000 years later, exactly where they were dumped. Inside, it is cold. The air smells of wet stone and lamp smoke, and there is a sound in it that no one expects to hear under the Sahara. running water in the dark continuously for 600 years, because the Garamantes had not found a spring. They had found a reservoir. What they were drinking was not this year's rain or last century's. It was rain that had fallen tens of thousands of years before they were born, on a Sahara that was green. Call it what it was, the borrowed rain. Rome noticed. In the year 20 before Christ, Lucius Cornelius Balbus marched south from the coast into the Fezzan. Pliny the Elder, writing a lifetime later in his natural history, lists the towns Balbus took, and Garama is on that list. Balbus celebrated a triumph in Rome in March of the year 19 before Christ. He had been born in Spain, the first man from outside Italy ever granted one. But Rome never held the Fezzan. It could not. What followed instead was 4 centuries of trade, glass, wine, and fine red tableware moving south, garnets, ivory, natron, wild animals, and human beings moving north. Around the year 90, a Roman merchant named Julius Maternus left Garama, traveling in the company of the Garamantian king. They went south for 4 months. The geographer Marinus of Tyre recorded it, and Ptolemy preserved the record. They reached a land called Agasimba, where, Maternus said, the rhinoceroses gathered. We do not know where Agasimba was, somewhere in the Chad Basin, most likely. Hold that picture, a merchant and a desert king riding south together for a third of a year, past the last well anyone had ever mapped, in noon light hard enough to hurt. Here is where the story turns. For a long time, the end of the Garamantes was explained the way endings usually are. Invasion, conquest, the armies of Uqba ibn Nafi reaching the Fezzan around the year 666. The archaeology says something quieter and far stranger. Over roughly 6 centuries, the Garamantes are estimated to have drawn 30 billion gallons of water out of the ground. That water was not being replaced. It had accumulated during what climate scientists call the African humid period, when this desert held lakes, rivers, and hippopotamus, a world that ended around 5,500 years ago. And a foggara is fed by gravity. It cannot be deepened. It cannot be lowered. The moment the water table falls below the floor of the tunnel is finished, and no amount of labor or wealth or engineering can argue with it. Some foggaras appear to have been abandoned as early as the 4th century, long before any army arrived. They were not conquered. They were on a schedule, and the schedule had been set thousands of years before their civilization existed. We are on the same schedule. The water the Garamantes drank sits in the Nubian sandstone aquifer system, the largest body of fossil fresh water on Earth, spread beneath Libya, Egypt, Chad, and Sudan. In 1984, Libya began drilling into it. More than 1,300 wells, most of them over 500 meters deep, feeding 4,000 kilometers of pipeline. The first water reached the coast in 1991. It was roughly 40,000 years old. How long it lasts depends on who is counting. Estimates run from 60 years to 1,000. Same valley, same water, same arithmetic, better machines. Go to old Jarma today, and you will find mud brick walls, a kasbah from the 14th century, and lines of small collapsed craters running out into the sand. Ask, and people will tell you the Romans dug them. The Romans did not. Every civilization stands on something it did not make and cannot replace. Usually, that thing is invisible. In the Fezzan, you can see it from the air, a dotted line across the desert marking precisely how far a people got before the water stopped. They did not run out of time. They ran out of rain that had already fallen.